Dr. Sam Amadi, an associate professor of law and director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, as well as a RISE analyst, joins me now in the studio for more on this. Very warm welcome to Newsnight.
Thank you, Chris. Good evening.
The pendulum, we know where it already, rested in the All Progressive Congress and the PDP. Why is ADC in a kind of a cul-de-sac in, kowtowing that direction too?
Well, from the subject of some of the leaders, they say, first, we are opposition party. APC probably has the luxury of being the party in power and therefore evidently would go the way of the incumbent, the president who is from the south. And they also argue that they are in a process of reconstruction at this moment, trying to build up. Maybe it's strategically, they think it's strategically useful for them to play dumb for now. But again, I think they are swimming against what may appear like the general groundswell. I mean, the 2023 election was dominated by zoning. First, the reason that former Governor Wike, Minister Wike and his group gave for failing to support the PDP ticket, no matter what we think about Wike and his group, it's evident that they won. They said this should be a southern affair because of President Buhari has done 8 years and therefore power, conventionally rotates. And when a few of them supported or seemed to have supported P2V, like Oti, Governor of Benue, and ultimately most of them sided with Tinubu in the election. And after the election, Wike continues to make the point that the reason why they continue to support Tinubu is because power has to remain in the south. So zoning defined 2023 clearly. In terms of even when Atiku ran, he ran with a divided party because some of them felt the power should have gone to the south. And now the ruling party, of course, Erufai was very clear. They won. He kept maintaining the point. The reason why he ultimately went with Tinubu and the reason why the northern governors in APC shifted to Tinubu last minute was that they were looking for a northern candidate, and then they couldn't take on Lawal, who was allegedly supported by the Villa. So the zoning seemed to have been the undertone, the subtext of 2023 election. And so it's logical to say that a party like ADC that wants to mobilize national commitment and consensus against an incumbent southerner who came because it was the turn of the south and who has not exhausted that 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
So the rubric for that national mobilization should have been a clear and unequivocal statement on the zoning. And their failure to do that for some strategic purpose, Atiku Abubakar is one of the leading lights of that coalition. Some say probably has up to, if you say a shareholding, probably has up to over 50% of shareholding. Some say the rubric of the CPC group, with Malami,
Malami,
and the Malami himself, with the arrowheads, we fancy
Babache is there.
We will fancy a northern candidate because it gives the momentum for down ballot. If you're running for Senate, I have a northern candidate. Maybe that momentum will help you win the election, but it might cost you the national election. So I think the leaders have to be very clear-minded. And someone like David Mark, very strategic, very disciplined.
Is delay not dangerous here?
I think it's dangerous because since the party was formed, there was a great momentum, but it has fizzled out. I mean, apart from these elitist meetings here and there, Atiku visiting Tinubu, visiting Erufai visiting Atiku, there's no public. The ADC has lost, street momentum. There's nobody really who cares so much, the people. So I think the delay is dangerous and it's damaging the party. The party has to. It seems like Nigerian voters are some kind of strong on zoning. If you do a poll now, you see that many people think that the power should remain in the south. So it's actually in their own interest.
Is that not the magnetic pull that some, political school of thought and stakeholders are saying? Look, President Jonathan should come in because he did only one term and the rest, and they are looking at the socio-political and economic indices during his first tenure that Nigeria was on the path of El Dorado.
Absolutely. Yes, I think, for example, that I'm not sure, but probably what Jonathan wanted to discuss with them was to explore this idea of zoning, even if not for himself. As a statesman, he recognizes the importance of zoning because he was a victim. Look, there's no reason why Jonathan would have lost the election in 2015, apart from the conspiracies. But the heart of it was that
the eternal conspiracy was
the major issue, based on the idea that they thought he reneged on an agreement
that
zoning.
the public never saw.
Actually. So I don't know why in 2025, somebody will be thinking that the Nigerian population voters will take kindly to a party that does not zone the power to the south. So I think APC has one major issue to deal with now. That is to say...
That's ADC.
ADC, sorry. Where do we start on zoning? When should we make that call? Because some people are saying, let's first gather together. But people are wise. I mean, nobody... Peter Obi's Food Dragon, for example, is also based on zoning. He thinks that he has to go to unequivocal south. And then it will be between whoever is in the south who will not run.
You know, some antagonists of Peter Obi say, oh, he doesn't like competition. He doesn't like, going to primaries and the rest. You know, that seems to be casting...
Well, the point is this. I mean, the history... I'm even a very small person compared to Peter. But if you ask me, do I like primaries, Nigerian primary? I don't like primaries.
Yeah, because you faced one or two before.
because this primary, look, this is the point. Primaries depends on consensus. Look, Buhari won the 2015 primary just because Tinubu, in a strategic thinking, and others came around and said, let's prop up. Buhari didn't have the capacity to win a primary that's going to be competitive because what that means is payment, buying of delegates. He couldn't do that. So they helped him out because he was a winnable candidate. So the ADC will ask themselves, do you want to win primaries and lose election?
And who will be the winnable candidate?
So ADC, that is very actually determined to remove Tinubu, the front issue is not who can win primary. It's who can win the election. Then let's make that person win the primary. You see, that's the point. See,
can you isolate it? I mean, coming from your own school of thought now, let's mathematically rule out the former vice president and say ADC decides to zone it to the south. Would you leave the contest between Jonathan, if he agrees, because Jonathan is already a statesman and
I'm not even sure
massive international figure, but let us
assume he is
political assumption here. Leave the stage for Peter Obi and a Jonathan.
Okay, see what I think. If I was a political advisor and I'm looking at the map, I will tell you two things. Peter Obi will win the youth votes, clearly. He controls that vote. The issue that Peter Obi represents, Jonathan does not represent. Prudence, not because Jonathan is not, because of perception and branding. This is about perception management. Jonathan represents something that Peter doesn't have. He has the clarity as to tenure. No question around 4 years. So he's going to bank on that. So he comes with the idea that if the Jonathan, there's no question around, would that be 4 years or not 4 years? With Jonathan, some may argue that maybe he could have access to the northern political elites. But what we see in 2023 actually is that the real move on Nigerian politics is actually youth votes. That people are breaking through the mold of structures. Don't forget that in 2023 the idea was 4 people tweeting a room. I had a strong discussion with people like Lamido Lamido and even the national chairman of PDP when I was head of strategy of Article Group. And I said, look, I see a phenomenon. PDP is coming. There's something move about it. A wave coming. And they said, look, he can't get 1 million votes. They told me that, if he gets 1 million votes, we will retire from politics.
But they're still there.
They got 6 point something.
Over 6 million votes.
So let's even forget whether rigging or not rigging, at least official clear vote, 6%. Without a House of 4 months to that election with no councillor, no chairman, no party structure. So if I was advised, I would say, what are the demographics that make this election work? The youth demographic is very strong, and the problem with the youth is that their parents can be APC or PDP, but they can be anything they want to be.
Sure.
So this is a captured constituency. Are you going to have, so P2P starts this campaign, whether he will lose or win, doesn't matter, with at least a bankable 5 to 6 million in his pocket. Then if he does well, he can break in, or he may not. So He may not win, he may win, but he has a constituency. He's the only person now that he
That's
says
if he gets the ticket you're talking
well,
now.
18,
But
don't forget that 18 parties.
Not from the. Yeah, if he gets the ticket,
ADC.
you know, I'm so sorry.
I totally agree with you.
The,
No.
the
So these
discussion.
are all in the air.
Yeah.
Jonathan is a very strong candidate because he has that clarity as to position, not for no more than 4 years. And
the
again,
experience. Of
and the
course,
experience.
you can't beat
So the
that.
question is, these two people, but start with the known, move to south, and then you can now get to the unknown.
And throw the
exactly.
the field open. Thanks so very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, Director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thought and a Rise Analyst.
Thank you.